this week, so said if she felt better, she could even join via Zoom.
We'll just get started since it's 6 and awesome. Okay, well, I will call this meeting to order, our February Celebrate Wildwood Commission meeting. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Can we get a roll call, please?
Commissioner Slaughter,
Here.
Commissioner Schultz, here. Commissioner Jailing,
Here.
Commissioner Hudson,
Here.
Commissioner Jones, Commissioner Coleman,
Here.
Commissioner Shrimp, Commissioner Siebert, Council Liaison Garitano,
Here.
and myself. Thank you.
Wonderful. And then, if anyone had any questions on the minutes or had anything to add? Could we get a motion for the approval of the minutes from our January meeting? 1 second. Perfect. Second by Kristen. On favor? Love it. Getting those things approved. Public, anyone on Zoom?
Joe.
Just Joe. He doesn't count as the public. All right. Well, then I guess we can head on over to number 5A, location.
Yes, Madam Chair, location. Madam Chair and members of the commission, first of all, thanks for being here tonight. As always, we appreciate your participation and fitting us into your schedule, so thank you. And I extend that to the police and peers here. As you know, we talked a great deal at our last meeting about the venue location, and ultimately the commission gave us 2 charges. The first was to continue forward with the location over at the community college by the Wildwood Family YMCA, and also to explore the area here around City Hall, just because of its familiarity with our attendees and the fact that even though it may not be the perfect setting, like the field was next to the theater, there are some advantages to being here besides just that familiarity. So what the department has prepared for you tonight is just a summary of that, but also our next steps. From the perspective of the community college site, we still have to make that contact with the Wildwood Family YMCA. And part of that contact, obviously, we don't necessarily need their parking given how many spaces are available at the community college. Even on the best of days, I think the community college parking area with, I believe, about 800 plus spaces can accommodate what we need. But I also think the Wildwood Family YMCA has an opportunity here to promote that day as maybe something for their membership, offer tours, do things along those lines. And in the past, when the Wildwood Barbecue Bash was there, they actually sold parking spots. So people could park closer to the venue and have as far a walk. And for the most part, it was very successful for them. So that's number one. Another item that we did for the Wildwood Barbecue Bash, we also contacted the owners of Wildwood Square, which is our Jones property. Because again, if there is spillover, they'll go to where there's free parking versus paid parking. And again, we don't want to compete with the businesses. But again, with the permission of the commission, we'll sell it as a positive. This is a great opportunity if you want to do something with your businesses to promote them as well as part of our celebration. We can do that. And certainly we'd like to get some of the businesses in there that be sponsors or participate more so than just be there near the venue grounds. So those are 2 steps that need to be done prior to March. And as it concludes on that particular component, we'll have all of this tied up for you in March relative to the Wildwood Family YMCA and then Wildwood Square and their ownership. Here at City Hall and around Town Center, we did reach out, as I mentioned last month, to the leadership over at the senior care facility. They've had some changes in ownership, and there is a new person that now is the executive director. So I made the assumption that's why I didn't hear from the person I did contact. And so we're going to recontact them and then get moving. I did reach out to the fire marshal. Did not hear back from him. We've got a lot of stuff on our plate with some other projects, but I say, that's outstanding. And then finally, if you had not heard, we had a very successful bidding process for Village Green Phase 1, meaning we received 8 bids in response to the request for proposals. Several of those bids were below the budgeted amount. And so we're in the process of selecting the contractor. Contractor will probably be under contract by sometime in April or early May. And as it is in the bid documents, the project's supposed to be complete by September 1st. So even if it's not, I think there's an opportunity there to coordinate with them and see what we can get done or what could be available that day if we need extra space, or if we just want to have something over there so people get an idea of what Village Green is going to look like. At the very least, they should be pretty close or getting close to being complete. And it's all, again, it's kind of weather dependent, but so we want to do that once the contractor's on board. We don't have that ability right now because we're still in that process. So there's a couple of things on the community college site that need to be done. They will be completed by March. And the 2 items here at City Hall and Town Center, A and B, will be done by the March meeting. And then we can tie it all together for you and be prepared to proceed forward. Also, I hope to have at the March meeting preliminary layouts for both locations to kind of give you an idea of what we're thinking. Some of the members that have been on the commission for a while know that we've gone through this exercise here around City Hall before. And we've had different options: Main Street, the top deck of the parking garage, Plaza Drive, Market Avenue, et cetera, et cetera. We hope to have something there so you can kind of see how it all fits together. Mr. Garitano, oh, sorry, I didn't know that was on there. He had mentioned just trying to reuse that space up by the senior care facility where we used to hold our concerts. And that's a priority if we are going to be here. Great visibility, great space. It's worked so many times for us over the years before the construction of the new building. So again, a lot of things to kind of juggle, but we'll have them all pulled together hopefully for you in March. And I say hopefully just because of the mapping component. But you'll have a good idea of what might be the best approach venue-wise, and then we can go from there. So if there are any questions relative to anything in the memorandum, Stacy, Chris, and I are available to answer them at this time.
I like that we're keeping our options open. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the mapping. I think that'll be really helpful for us to make, you know, a more clear decision, because I think.
I agree. You know, the balance is always, if we do move up more toward the Route 100, the upper deck of the garage is just a great space for a lot of different venues. The dining tent during the barbecue bash, and it's kind of prime years. We had the dining tent up there perfectly. There's a great space for all the portable restrooms, and et cetera. But we lose about 150 parking spaces. So as I say, there's some pluses and minuses. But the key question will be, again, if we can provide reasonable access for EMS, fire and police to the facility, the senior care facility, we have an easement over that whole area. And it's a public easement for our purposes to use for events. We've stayed away from it since the construction of the building, but it's there and we have a right.
So where would if we go that way, where would the fireworks be then? So.
In years past, we talked about doing it either behind City Hall on the parking lot area.
Where our cars are parked?
We actually talked about doing it over there. The only problem is if we set the stage up by Route 100, it faces to the south. And so everybody would have to turn if we do it here or there.
Yeah.
Years past, before the villages at Brightly, if we used that field over there, the owners were kind enough to let us shoot the fireworks from there. So we do have some locations that would be safe. But again, it requires a little gyration on the part of people, but we'll figure it out.
Okay.
Any other thoughts?
So I wish I had a little bit more new stuff, but you kind of know what we're lacking, and so if I don't have it in March, you just have to call me on the card.
I'm so excited about this next thing.
Okay. This is the new online sponsorship application, and we had talked previously how our old form was the paper and pen type form, and it was a little antiquated. So, we wanted to show you guys our rec desk program, which we use for memberships, dog parks, our senior programming and all that is what we were really trying to figure out if we could use. So we tried it, and we have a little sample back here for you. The initial draft, and this isn't exactly how people see it, it's a little differently, but the first page there and the second page is actually the draft of the program. And then you'll see the next couple pages are the actual form that the people will be filling out. So it totally mimics what we already had. It's just nice because they can do it online. And another nice thing, we were concerned about doing the fee through here because it does charge a small transaction fee to the sponsor. So there is a way to just check a box and they can mail in a check. So that we're happy with that, we can do that. So same type of information, little check boxes, they can upload their logo. We have all the different sponsorship levels that we talked about, and you'll see they're kind of named a little something here, different. That Stacy kind of mixed up to make it more exciting, a community sponsor, community plus sponsor, celebrate sponsor, tower sponsor, and premier sponsor. They go up, it's the same levels as last year, just a little bit catchier name. And we'll describe those in the form. So this is just kind of, we wanted to see what you guys thought about this draft form in comparison to the full paper and pen deal. So
I really like Rec Desk. I've used it to rent out the park for parties and stuff, and I don't have to call in but Stacy. It's so intuitive. It's so great. So I was so excited when I saw that we not only went digital, but that we were using a resource that I feel like we're trying to get people to start using anyways.
right.
They'll appreciate it as well. I'm sure the sponsors, it's just
Right.
so easy.
Right. Whatever, however we can make it easier for them,
Yeah.
we're happy to do it. And it's just really easier to track as well,
Mm-hmm.
because once it's in here, we can shoot it out to Excel with all the information. It's not anything we have to retype, and it's not that we need to, take work off of us, but it's just gonna be so much easier. It's all in one spot. We're not misplacing any forms. It's all right there, all the logos. And so it's just gonna be. Because that was another thing on the paper
Exciting.
form. They'd email in their logo,
Yeah.
mail in the check. There was just lots of different steps for somebody. So this, fill it out,
Done.
upload their logo, mail in your check. So
Any other thoughts on?
Here, my question would be, is this an acceptable approach for the commission members? And if so, we'll proceed forward. Spend any time on the paper application.
100%.
Yes, 100%,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Will there still be paper versions of the levels and stuff like that kind of, okay, great. Think about some of our more tenured businesses and just wanting to.
And quite frankly, in some instances, we may just need a few paper applications in the event people still aren't comfortable with the use of the internet or giving their credit card number or whatever the case may be. And obviously, we use a lot of the sponsorship information for our promotion, so we'll keep a legacy for a bit, but for now, I'd like us to, as you've already agreed to, kind of embrace this.
Thank you for building out that draft. Anything else on sponsorship stuff from you guys, city team?
When you be putting it out?
Try as soon as possible. You know,
This is kind of curious. I don't. We can
Yeah.
go out whenever you want to.
we
go
can
out.
do it. We can do it as soon as possible. Let's get that updated business list from the city clerk's office and I think we have emails for the businesses as well. So are we planning on mailing anything out? Or just sending an email to all the businesses with a link?
Do we ever engage with the Wildwood Small Business Association?
In the past, we did, the WBA, they've kind of have dissolved, so to speak, but there's another group of
Businesses of Wildwood?
businesses of Wildwood that's trying to form itself and replace the WBA. And I was going to mention, Chris and Stacy attended one of the two business forums the city hosts each year. They did a presentation on the different rec events and thinking to celebrate Wildwood. You want to maybe talk about?
I just know that, so when you get a business list from the city clerk, obviously when Missouri did that big legislative change where people can now run businesses out of their home, do the city clerks have that information because of like their tax filings, or do they only have the information based on like brick and mortar locations?
We have an extensive number of home occupation license, but with the new state statute, we can only request they complete it. We cannot require it. So there may be some out there that is, most still do. I think they do it for purposes of insurance or just something like that. But yeah, but we have all the brick and mortar businesses and we have, like I say, just a number of home occupations from over the years, many of which we're still filing as required up until like August of 2023.
I just didn't know if the WBA might have some members who would be in that missed group of not filing for those home occupancy, just trying to think about how we can get all those people running those businesses out of their homes to come buy a booth.
I think they're trying. There was a really good turnout at this last forum that they had. There was, I mean, the room was full. So, and then the businesses of Wildwood had their little meeting afterwards and there was a good amount staying around for that as well. So
That's great.
it was a good opportunity for us to talk about the sponsorships
I
then.
love it. I love that you guys are just already on
We're trying, we got a big goal to meet.
it. Parade.
Well, again, thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair and members of the commission, as you know, we provided you a couple of things at our last meeting. One was a request from you to provide you the themes from past events, including the parade. And we also asked you to provide us any thoughts you had on this year's theme for the overall event. And then obviously as well, the parade. And so on the first page of the memorandum that's been prepared by Stacy, Chris, and I, we provide you for the most part the past themes, inclusive of the event itself and the parade. As you can see, we've kind of settled on Route 66 at least a couple of times, so I'd probably say this year we should go that direction. But here's what we've had, and typically, as we've done last year and what we're asking this year, we depend on you to basically provide us your thoughts, and then really it's your choice in terms of the theme, both for the event. And the theme for the parade. The homework assignment turned out really well, and thanks to all who did it. That's on page 2, and that's the table. There were a lot of good suggestions, and Chair, this will be the center of these discussion tonight, although I'd like to just cover a couple more points and then turn back to the theme. So those 11 suggestions came from all of you, so thank you very much. And your thoughts and notes are much appreciated as well. In terms of the parade components, as you can see, we kind of listed them as we had them for the last few years. Certainly, if there's some rearrangements that are appropriate based on your experience last year, we can certainly juggle these around and make those changes. The only thing I would say is typically the mayor's in the front of all elected officials, particularly the city council, but after that, I'll add one more. Gateway disposal is always at the end. Other than that, it's kind of an open board for you. Also, Stacy and Chris took the time at the 2023 parade to kind of look over some of the things that might be improved. And that's that bulleted form that contains the 3 items, just some things they saw that they think as team members to you, the commission, we can do better to make things at Wildwood Crossing or wherever we start the parade. In terms of items that we're working on for the parade, that's the final table in the memorandum. I'm proud to state we have completed reservations for the golf course. So if all else fails, we can have a day of you all driving around in a golf cart if you like.
That's up there with the fireworks. That's the party, is the fireworks and the
I
golf.
wouldn't argue with you. So obviously, as we've done in past years, as we work through this last table, which is the milestones and the decisions you all make, we'll fill them in. And if you'll recall, as we got near the end of August or our last meeting, we had all of these done. They were all completed, and that's the intent this time. It's a little blank now, but don't be concerned. It usually looks that way when you start. So if there are any questions on anything relating to the other items than the theme, then Casey, Chris, and I will be glad to try to address them. And chair after that. Items 3, the discussion, what might be our theme?
I would love, before we get into the theme topic, just because I think that's the most fun and I think it's really good when we get our ideas flowing. I also really agreed with the points about areas for the ability to improve, one of which was the parade positioning. So the idea of just a small thought, if we could get, or if everyone participating in the parade could get a list of their position prior to showing up so people kind of know where they're going, because I just think that would help the lineup process and be easier on Tom with his singular piece of paper trying to move a large group of people. So I thought that would be really beneficial. And then my other thought was maybe a staggered line up time suggestion. So there's a bit of a traffic jam getting everybody lined up, but the idea of like, here's everyone's list. If you're A1 through A20, you're lining up at 7 to 7:15. And then just to, obviously it won't be perfect, but just the idea of helping with some of that flow back there. Is that something that's ever been done, and is it like unsuccessful and that's why we haven't done it?
So, can I answer?
Sure.
Okay, in dealing, so we have, his name's Pat, and he does the whole roster. If you are late to the parade, you are moved to the back. So he's, everyone is, and he really did ask us not to give positions for that reason. And so when you came, he sort of knew where to put you in line. So people in A, that's council. Yeah, so that's always pretty set. And then B and C, those are kind of like iffy if you have a band here, if and things like, I would just say he was really like, please be flexible.
Sure.
So that's why we weren't giving positions, but now we do see like there is a need for position in the A category, but not like A5, A6. So that's where, but if you were late, you were in the back.
So maybe could we give their people's like A, B, C, or D numbers?
Yes.
So that could, okay, yeah. And then I always think the caveat of if you're late to the parade, you're gonna go where you're gonna go and it's gonna be just fine. But
So just all you know, Pat McDermott is the gentleman's name. He's a captain over at the Metro West Fire Protection District for years and years and years. And I still think he does it. He orchestrates the parade for Baldwin Days, which is substantially larger than ours. And
but not
so
more fun.
he's also in the Rotary, and that's why he's here. That's one of the Rotary does this as a volunteer effort for us. And then he brings along other Rotary members that are familiar with the parade. So that's Pat.
Awesome. Yeah, I think the letters would be helpful just to, and maybe it was because it was my first parade, but I didn't know where to go and then I just felt a show, so.
Well, I think one of the things we can do is at least by the time you all start working on your golf cart, whether it's a Friday or this morning of the parade, we can have something in the golf cart. And I don't see why we can't hand out the roster. I know that's something Mr. McDermott has discouraged, but I just think putting it in the golf cart and you can see where you're at, who's next to you, who's behind you, in front of you, behind you. And the police and Melanie and I usually, and the Rotary and Tom, will get you where you need to be, generally speaking. It's just, there's a whole lot of people and a lot come right at the last minute.
Yeah. That was the only one that
The 8 people don't come at the last minute. We're always there early. And I just always thought it was fine because they would put the little signs up along the fence at Schnucks and we just knew this is the group where the Wildwood Celebration Committee is, and this is where the mayor is. I never thought it's a problem. I mean, I don't know what happens behind Schnucks because I'm not back there, so.
Yeah.
It's a doozy back there, let me tell you. It's like- And then, and just as a sidebar, there's inevitably 2 deliveries. So the over the road trucks pull in and they're generally they have always been very gracious. They'll just sit there and wait.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
one
they're
gentleman told me this year, I get paid sitting here as much as I do.
Yeah.
I think the folks who also kind of get a little frazzled in it is all the parents dropping off their kiddos who are in like the dancing brigades and they didn't read their email that I'm sure their coach sent out, but they have no idea where to drop. It was frenetic back there. I took a walk and I was like, this is too much. I'm going back to my golf cart with the rest of the
And
commission.
I
where
thought it was fun.
It's so fun, yeah. but-
I thought it was fun back there. I thought everyone was having a good time. Nobody was complaining.
Yeah.
No, it's just like it's so fluid. And there's so much, there's people talk and laugh and I mean,
Yeah.
and it's just, it's just very interesting to be back there. It's like, ooh, yeah.
It's the only chance we get to see what's in the parade behind us too. Because if I don't go back there, I don't get to see. I did not know that they had a big old trailer for the college, community college. And I was like, oh, so I walked in, I could see, but we don't get to see that because we're in the front, so we don't get to see what's in the parade, so.
It was
Good point.
the community college mascot got lost for a little bit. He wandered. That was my favorite part, was the the college kid in charge of them was like, it was like a lion. Have you seen the lion? I haven't. No, you'll find him. Just keep walking. But yeah, awesome. Okay. And then,
We'll figure something out for your request. Like I say, we'll talk to Mr. McDermott. We'll see what.
and if he feels super strongly that it shouldn't be shared, he feels like the subject matter expert on that, so. Great, let's chat about themes. Thoughts. First, what is everybody's current favorite?
I just go right into it. Why don't we say, do we like least? That's easier. Right? Do it the other way.
I really enjoyed the planting seeds for the future. I think that whenever I think about Wildwood, I think about, our city motto, planning for tomorrow today. And so the idea of things that have like future sentiments, I really enjoy. And considering the village greens and all that'll be going on in town center, and along with the Main Street project and the continuation of the Route 66, that feels like it really fits 2024.
Well, I will tell you, 2026 is the 100th year anniversary of Route 66, so we'll probably do something. I probably won't be here, but
Don't say that.
obviously there'll be a big push, at least from our Historic Preservation Commission, to do as much to honor the 100th anniversary. So maybe
Not include that in our growing plan, yeah, okay.
Could you combine one being the theme and one being the parade, rooted in Wildwood, planting seeds for the future.
I like that. I think the thing that always feels tricky about picking a theme is, I feel like I typically like when they're like related to like what the year looks like, but it also feels so early in the year. So I'm like, I have no idea what the year in Wildwood.
Those two would complement, especially if we're over here in the Village Green and just the green space and the growth of town center and the community.
I would probably say celebrating 29 years young, I would, since we're gonna do the 30th the next year. And the same thing with party like 1995. I don't want to offend anybody if these are your suggestions. I'm not saying that at all. And 29 and growing, I don't think we have, those ones are not something that really grabs me. That's just my opinion.
I agree. And I think next year will be so 30, just so like maybe staying away from a number considering
So if we could just start eliminating some that we don't.
cross them off,
like.
Karen.
Especially when you're saying 29 and holding, and all of us, I think, are way over that age, but.
Are there any other large projects that we are not thinking of?
Well, we've got on the southern end of Route BA, Route 109, we'll be starting the construction of the roundabout there. These are infrastructure. Missouri Department of Transportation will be doing the roundabout construction this year up at Wild Horse Creek Road and Route 109 in the northern end of the city. We also have a project here on Taylor Road to improve its driving surface and make it a better road aesthetically as well.
Being
Then
super
we've got Village
glamorous.
Green, got Village Green, obviously. And then just in a kind of a couple of sidebars, after years of removing ash trees because of the emerald ash borer, I think this year is a big push to start replanting them. And then we also are going to hire an arborist, our first arborist ever, help us manage our tree assets, particularly here in town center and our street trees and things like that. So those are kind of the things we're doing on the kind of the, let's say, planting and rooting kind of components.
Do you think we'll have a number of trees that we expect to plant throughout that project? Cause that could be a fun, that just feels like a fun thing to add into the.
And you read the notes on the right of that one?
I didn't. I'm very.
Because it talks about this. Under rooted in Wildwood, read the notes. Just trying to help you, honey. And I think rooted in Wildwood, I think that the personalized brick thing, I think the tree thing, I think that's gonna be big. I think people are gonna do it in memory of people. I think we're gonna have founding people that will buy bricks. I think it's gonna be a big thing. I think it's gonna be kind of a cute fundraiser for it. I hope the commission gets the points for that.
What do you guys think? What are your top two?
Yes.
Tell us.
Why?
It's a safe space. You can stop recording if you need to.
No,
We're
no
for all
hurt
of it.
feelings.
You're the creative
Yeah.
group, not me. So
But you guys do have to be on the other end and, you know, help with the marketing and stuff. And I know that that's,
You have opinions.
yeah, you live here.
Just throw it out there.
I'm with Joe.
graphic wise, I think anything doing with rooting or planting, I think we can do a lot of things.
Does that mean you don't like any of them?
No, rooted in Wildwood.
No.
That idea. I
these
was putting those
three.
two together. And like you said, one being maybe the parade theme and one being the main theme. They go together.
So what was the other one? Rooted in Wildwood, what was the other one?
Planting seeds for the future.
Well, those are actually pretty much roots and seeds. That, I mean, they go together really well.
Again, all I'm saying is there's just a lot of opportunity there. Planting seeds, is it flowers? Or is it our community garden? Is it things like that? And then rooted in Wildwood. And just the things that are core values, so we could sell that pretty well.
There's a lot of
Sure.
things when I think of the scavenger hunt that feel like play into rooted and, I mean, got a few parks here. Feels like there's a.
Do trees make people find certain trees?
I was thinking, there's
So
several
much.
trees that are just grand,
If we-
grand trees.
Yeah, if I
Keep
know this tree in
saying
Wildwood,
grand
it would be
trees.
so fun. There'd be so
Dr.
many
Rambo's gonna
things.
walk through the door if you say tree 3 times, he'll appear.
I mean, yeah, you find the tallest tree or, most perfect Christmas tree, there's so many things you could do with that. So. I think you could do almost a whole scavenger hunt on just trees and
Just
plants.
trees.
It would be kind of
I
fun.
feel like the arborist would like that.
Yeah.
Welcome to Wildwood, tree scavenger hunt.
It'll be the star of the first year.
Do you want us to go back to the drafting board and are you satisfied with these or would you like to see more of a selection?
And I'm only speaking, I'm not speaking for Chris or Stacy. I was very pleased with the list.
I am
You all did a great job.
Okay, I just
thank
don't know
you.
how to read this.
Because they work for the city, they're not gonna give you an opinion. Come on.
Find you in the-
Right.
Well, I'll meet you by your car afterwards.
Well, if you don't pick it right, we'll write you tickets.
Yeah.
That's our part.
I kind of like the rooted in Wildwood and then we could do planting seeds for the future as the parade thing. That's my,
Yeah,
I'll put a motion on the floor that we pick rooted for Wildwood as the theme of the thing and then planting seeds for the future. And then we could decorate our things and flowers and stuff for the golf cart.
Or a
That's-
spaceship.
That's my motion, but that's.
That spaceship.
I'm still on the spaceship.
And she was,
I'm
I knew that
still-
was yours. That's my, I put that motion on the floor.
A second? Second. Second by Sharon, all in favor?
Aye.
Did you just pick a theme, everyone? Wow.
So just to let you know, probably next year will be a little easier.
Truly.
Real easy next year,
In
yeah.
2026, it's the 100th anniversary of Route 66. So you really climbed the mountain tonight. Good job.
Yeah.
And both of our terms are up, so we'll just leave the rest of them to figure it out. Well, great.
I think all the suggestions are very good, even the spaceship one. I never got it.
Golf carts being turned into spaceships.
Listen, you can do pretty impressive things with cardboard. Did you see, I think it was Larry Rose had like a giant thing. That was wild. That was wild. That guy can do with cardboard. Okay, back on track, everyone. Next, updates, on our activities and, the big grid.
This is our second update of the year. And as you know, we're still up in the air a little bit on the layout there, so we'll get that figured out. We have contacted most of our main vendors and suppliers for everything. Like Joe said, we have golf carts. We have our bands. We do have both of our bands. If you did see on there, we have Wild Horse Creek Band, which we had, which played 2 years ago as the daytime band. And our evening band is Foreplay that we have, we're doing the contract right now for that. So,
They played before?
they have not played in Wildwood before. They came highly recommended by, one of our we've reached out to other cities and, for the bands and things like that. So it's a new one for us. If you want to go give them a listen, you'll find them on YouTube. But they kind of play, I think, like our generation music. So-
Who's that?
That's broad strokes, Kristen, broad strokes.
What was the name of the band?
It's Foreplay
Foreplay.
So they
And that's
like-
gonna be the band for the evening?
for the evening.
80s, 90s.
Yep.
And
Little-
today.
And
little
today.
70s, so the main singer kind of reminds me of like a Stephen Perry type, singer. He's got the longer hair and so he's pretty good. So, and he played, I don't know if he played with Al Monstero or he just was a guest with Al Monstero. So it was like, I was pretty impressed with that, with Al Monstero. So
I think it'll be great. And the people love all we've had so many
Yeah.
bands and I feel like Wildwood is a cool place. People are like into it. So I think we could, anyone but me doing karaoke, I think would turn the party.
I think they play enough that everybody will know that music. And I think that's what we see that people really like is that, if you know the songs, they're up and dancing and all that. So cross our fingers, that was a good choice, but I think we're pretty confident. We liked them. So their evening band, the parade, we've kind of talked about that, over at Schnucks. And Officer DeGelder, I know, has talked to Principia, and they are on board.
Yes.
On board. And we haven't really moved forward anything until we have location yet with food and vendors or anything like that. But that will be coming soon. What else? We've been in contact with all of the kids' entertainment. I talked to Jolly Jumps today. Another thing with once we figure out, she's gonna come out, kind of take a look at the space, make sure we get the proper Jolly Jump stuff and the foam party. You've got that on.
Never seen that. Before. It's foam cannon.
Oh, yeah.
That was amazing.
And I think that worked really well with the two separate foam parties.
I
It
agree.
wasn't the whole time. There's no way we could have done
Yeah.
that, but it was just like, it was a special time. At what did we do? 1 o'clock and 5 o'clock?
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, it's just a cool time, for everybody to come over and there were tons of kids over there. So we're gonna do that again. And sponsorships we've talked about and that's about it. So we feel like we're moving forward with the contracts and things like that. So we feel like we're in a good spot with the basics.
And
I was
Chair, just a
wondering the
couple
same
of things.
thing.
Miss Lynch will be singing the national anthem again,
Amazing.
so that's always positive. And I'll go ahead and ask the police if they can arrange the bagpipers.
We'll request it.
At least I can tell the mayor we tried.
Yeah, we'll tell Captain Mundell, he'll request it, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was really cool last year during the parade was that Justin Sparks came. And I know he's obviously local to Wildwood, so that's really nice for us, but I just think it'd be really cool if we could reach out to all of the other local politicians. I think it's really exciting, and I know that I'm a loser and geeks out over small politics, but
Oh, no, and Mark Harder, our county council member, participated. Sam Page was supposed to be here and canceled in the 11th hour. So that was a disappointment. And we invite the state senator for this area and we invite, I think there's 2 or 3 House representatives. We invite them all.
great,
And
love that.
so some just have conflicts and we understand.
I was just behind Justin last year and it was so fun. And he has so many kids. Oh my goodness. He caught all the candy that I didn't throw very well. It was great. Wonderful. And anything else on the update? Any other notes?
The parade will stay there no matter where we are. The parade will stay there no matter where we are.
I think so, because if we move over by the community college, there's just Route 109, that whole situation over there is just not good. We're familiar with, the Schnucks Wildwood Crossing area. I would encourage the commission to stick with that.
I guess my only fear is that if we're at the community college, I don't know if we'll get everyone just to stay after the parade and start coming. And I think that's my biggest fear, because it's so convenient if they come off the parade route and they come right up to the Village Green area.
You've already
I guess-
found parking, you've already unloaded the stroller, it's, yeah.
I just worry that if we have to go to the community college, then I think we'll lose so many of our patrons. Because, or they'll go home and come back later and then, they miss the opening ceremony and all that stuff, so.
Now, when Mr. Garicano like kind of mentioned trying to stay here, I was a little apprehensive just because, but you're right. If people have to get in their car, there's probably a million things they could think of doing other than going over to the other location. So that's probably a good reason to try to make this work. The fun thing, and this will maybe something you all can figure out. So if the parade ends at Main Street and Eastgate Lane by the Walgreens, making sure that people make that small trek to the stage area, making it doing something to make it interesting, is either if it's decorating the street so that people know this is the extension of the parade route to the main venue grounds, or I don't know, having Principia's drum.
Continue.
Yeah,
I
just
think you can go that extra block if you want to, Joe.
up to Fountain Place.
Make that the turn.
So
If
that'll be
you're-
something.
You guys call.
It'll be something maybe we need to talk about, just how, making sure that people know, all right, we stopped here, but just a couple blocks away.
I
I'll
think
start.
once we see once we
Yeah.
get the mapping, I think that'll make everything, just for my visual brain, I think it'll make choices like, oh, should we go an extra block? Should we, should we intentionally rope off specific, like areas and and even say to our sponsors, like, you get to be here just so that we can fill the space, so that people realize it's a continuation, or whatever we decide to do to kind of fill that gap so that the parade route is, people are such creatures of habit, and I know that if I showed up, I would not know that the parade route had been extended, or I would just want to what I've done for the last couple of years. So I think the mapping will be really helpful for us to make those calls and hopefully like ease any concerns that like I have about like being around here, where it just doesn't feel like we're so spoiled by having Ed's space. So just seeing everything still fits. Well,
Some good ideas already, so we'll kind of build on those. And as I say, I think there's a great opportunity to kind of doll up the area here in town center.
yeah.
Not just by where we used to do the bistro lighting, then the field, but now I think it's in our best interest to try to make people think this is the entire area is the venue.
All right, last, other considerations, anything for that list, that bullet point?
Generally, if we miss something that's you mentioned or thought of, this is kind of a great opportunity. We'll write it down and we'll research it and have it back in March.
Right, last item is discussion about the memorial program.
Again, thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair and members of the commission. Last year, we started this discussion on the memorial program. And for the most part, it was also the same time we were kind of working through the new award in honor of Jeannie Hood, to the business representative that best exemplified her spirit, her efforts, et cetera. And so the decision was made by the commission to kind of step back from that. But again, it is something you all had identified as a discussion point for this year, 2024. Stacy, Chris, and I have kind of worked through it, and we believe there's two components we'd like you to consider. First, I think the one that you all have already kind of embraced and supported, and that's when a grand marshal is selected and participates in the parade, we do some kind of paver in recognition. And that paver becomes part of the hard surfaces over in the new Village Green. There are ample areas for that in Village Green, given its size, 6 acres. You can remember, we pretty much had our event on about 2.5 acres. So think of that, it's double plus a little bit more. So there's ample space. And as Chris and Stacy did their research, you can see that there's 2 paver sizes. And even with the largest one, it's a very inexpensive, relatively speaking, kind of acknowledgement for somebody that you've honored, and we'd love to forget about that. The second thing is, I think it's an opportunity too for us to represent you all that have served on the commission over the years and do a single large paver each year for the members of the commission. If there's no changes, we skip a year maybe, but to just honor you and have you memorialized as part of the process over there. So we're recommending both, one for the grand marshals and one honoring the commission each year for their service to the event. And again, relatively speaking, it's not that I'm Elon Musk, but $200 or $500 total. That's a pretty nominal cost to do something nice for a group like you. And we're grateful that we felt was so special. We deserve the honor. Thank you.
That's really sweet, Joe. Thank you.
There's more of them over there. They're they have a little more sugar in than me, but I think I thought it was really a nice gesture.
I really love the idea of the paper for the Grand Marshal. I think we were really gung ho on that at the last meeting. Any other thoughts on the Grand Marshal paper, or do we?
Do you have any idea who we're looking for as grand marshal this year?
We haven't started that conversation yet.
And we'll have it, we can put it on the agenda for March. And
Joe probably does.
Well, it's hard, you gotta start thinking ahead of time on this because, I don't, sometimes you have to do a little research on who was important to Wildwood and stuff, and so.
I think my first thought, and it's totally my bias, but oh gosh, her name is escaping me, the author of the historical wild,
Jill Von Gruben.
yeah, Jill is kind of the first name, just as the primary author of our history book that we put out. Obviously, she's a staple at the Historical Society and kind of the just resident knower of all things Wildwood. So she's kind of the first name that popped into my head, but
Joe, did Karen Fox do a book on the history of Wildwood too? Or was she part of the historical society at one time?
I think so.
I knew her. She actually died. I don't know if it was with the historical society.
That's my recollection. So I guess I would, maybe with your permission, Madam Chair, maybe that's something you think about over the next month. We'll put it on the agenda and we can just start building with it. Maybe in March, we don't decide because you've seen the other people's suggestions, other commission members' suggestions. But I think if we do it by April or at the latest May, that's still ample time. It's 4 to 5 months before the event.
any thought about having Joe ask the city council on our behalf for their recommendations, just because they know kind of the nitty gritty of what's going on in their individual wards?
And maybe we should think about too, some of the original ones that started Wildwood too. We've not. I can't think of anybody that.
Yeah, well, there's a couple folks on the ARB board who I know were a part of the original corporation. But part of me wants to keep them for our 30th,
Okay, yeah, that's a good idea.
about, just putting them in our pocket for next year, just because that feels like that aligns really well. But yeah, just thinking of, because if we're talking rooted in Wildwood, I can't think of anyone more rooted than Jill. But yeah, I would love to hear too from the council, because they know the stories in their individual wards that we might not.
We have a council meeting on February 12th and I'll do a little memo on your all behalf, basically asking that question, select Grand Marshal and any suggestions.
I might be voted off that night. That's the.
Well, then I think you'd be eligible to be
Re-voted
oh yeah, because you have to, you might be eligible to be Grand Marshal, so you never know. You know?
Got my vote.
Great, and then with the Grand Marshal, would you share the theme just so that they can maybe put that into their thought process too, if there's anyone that is
Sure.
planting 1,000 trees in Ward 6? Or something kind of like that.
I'm gonna say this year we're doing like 175 trees, something like that. I mean,
Where are you doing those?
mostly there's street trees where we had to take out the ashes
Okay.
for.
Yeah, I remember
the
that.
station. And I think it's real positive. It's a big program.
I have a question about trees along Strucker Road in that wooded area there by the cornfields. The trees have paint on them. What does that signify?
Under state statute, if you, officer.
It's no trespassing,
Okay,
purple paint.
yeah.
So if
that's
it's-
what it was.
That's the same as a sign that says no trespassing. So you gotta have it within so many feet, purple,
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then,
that's all along there. so-
it's, yeah,
that's private
Mostly for
property.
hunters, right? So
yeah, so usually it's
That's something.
kind of lets people know that they don't want
Should know.
hunters back there.
That's what.
But they don't want any trespassers, but some are pretty much okay with.
Yeah, I've seen a
No
lot of
hunting.
that down on
Just makes it clear.
Awesome Fort too, and I just never.
I, I wouldn't think that they would think it was okay to hunt on somebody else's property.
Right, that's why
Would they?
it lasts a lot longer than a sign. It's visible from far away. You don't have to read it. You see the color.
Okay.
And it establishes no trespassing.
Okay, so just to get us back on this, I think we're great and love the idea of the Grand Marshal paper. It's always weird to give yourself a trophy, but we probably should discuss or make a vote and see if we all think that it's a good idea for not only this commission, but commissions in the future to also be commemorated on a little paper. I think it's a nice idea. But again, it's always weird to give yourself a trophy, so we can.
Participation trophy.
Yeah.
City council will have to give that trophy, so it's.
We're just asking for the trophy.
You're saying that it, given the. I think a lot of boards and commissions don't meet as regularly as you, and put in as much effort as you, so, and it's not a knock against them, it's just the nature of this event. It's a worthwhile consideration.
Well, considering that city council does have to approve it, I like that. We can send it to them and they can make the final decision, so.
Say no way.
Yeah, not those guys. All right, well, let's, can I get a motion to send this up the pike to our friend city?
I moved to send it up the pike.
Second.
Second from Ms. Coleman, in favor. Perfect, thank you for suggesting that. Anything else, city officers, anything?
Okay, Madam Chair, all in favor?
Aye.
I guess my question again, I'll go back. Did you ever hear from Conduct Association?
I called Mr. Kramer, he left a detailed message, and
Okay,
so one of our charges for the benefit of the commission is to find another organization, whether it be the Lions, Rotary, to take over that role. Because obviously, if they're not going to keep the promise to the city and to this commission, then obviously we need to rethink.
yeah. I mean, it shouldn't take that long to figure out at all.
It's been 6 months.
And that's probably would have been some of our
Wonderful.
profit, you guys. It goes on, they've been on our, what we,
Yeah, absolutely.
so.
That conduct letter. And did they have a booth?
They had the beer booth and they were supposed to give us a percentage and they have not done that yet.
I'll keep trying.
I mean, yeah, I don't wanna,
No, but it's a good question and I did follow up. But still a little frustrating.
Yeah.
I understand.
Definitely something for us to consider.
That may be the solution too, is just, this is a great time to kind of stop and offer it to other not-for-profits that want to use it as fundraising and see if we can ante up the percentage we get.
Mm-hmm.
The more competition and the more interest, the likelihood that we're gonna, instead of 12%, maybe we get 20%.
Well, I know the Lions Club love to do the beer booths. They do it so many functions and they have it down pat. They're really good, so.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's who you choose, but something like that, so.
Again, at the barbecue bash, the Rotary was the one of
Because
the.
I know there's somebody, they just do a great job. And it's all men you see from Wildwood, you
Yeah.
know, everybody that works it, so.
So we'll take a look at it.
Our next meeting is March 6th, which feels so far away.
Well, Oh, it is an extra day away.
Leap year,
Sure.
yeah, of course. I just am not convinced it's February yet, so the idea that it's in March is just feels so crazy far away. Great, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to.
Sharon, second.
Get to do it.
Great, you can't dispute it, so we're adjourned.